Chapter 901. Senior Brother Jiang has prepared everything. Powerful fluctuations erupted everywhere in the Heavenly Note sect. Jiang Hao's cultivation was not low, but he was still shocked. Some fluctuations were so powerful that even he had to take a step back. Lin Mo and Zhao Qingxue had already entered, but it seemed they hadn't gone too far when many demonic beasts surrounded them. In the midst of all that chaos, the Saint Bandits emerged. The Saint Bandits were the most dangerous. Jiang Hao sighed. For the past 20 years, the sect has almost never stopped fighting. They only got a few months of recovery, and the battle started again. They suffered a few times, but they also won a few battles. Overall, it had been beneficial for the sect. It was just uncertain what the main goal of the sect was this time. Was it the Heavenly Saint sect or the Great Thousand God sect who had attacked the Cliff of Broken Hearts? Who had attacked the mines? Was it the Heavenly Gate sect or the Fallen Immortal clan, or was it the Saint Bandits? They were everywhere. Jiang Hao suspected that the Saint Bandits were a compromise that the sect had to make. Suddenly, a roar made Jiang Hao turn his head. A group of powerful demonic beasts appeared. They were rushing to where Lin Mo and the others had headed. Lin Ji looked at Jiang Hao pleadingly. The latter sighed. They were members of his team, and they cared for the sect. Such people shouldn't fall here today. He didn't want to put himself in danger for the sect, but he would do his best to help these kids. He just hoped the Saint Bandits would target him. Jiang Hao was most worried about the Saint Bandits. The others didn't know him, so it was challenging for them to find him. Even if the Fallen Immortal clan and the Heavenly Saint sect went after him, he didn't care. They wouldn't come after a Golden Core Realm Cultivator, after all. But the Saint Bandits were different. The one who was at the top would recognize him. At that moment, Lin Mo and Zhao Qingxue are surrounded by demonic beasts. They were trying to avoid the beasts but had fallen into their trap. Lin Ji didn't follow you? Lin Mo asked. No. Zhao Qingxue leaned against Lin Mo. I ran fast to shake him off. It seems that this place is stranger than expected. I'll help clear a path. You go first. I'll be behind you, Lin Mo said. At that moment, his aura was released. His strength surpassed Zhao Qingxue's, so he wanted to give her a head start. After hesitating for a while, Zhao Qingxue nodded. They had worked together in dangerous situations before. This wasn't a time to argue. Lin Mo didn't hesitate. He attacked the beasts. Without any reservation, he blasted through the group of demonic beasts. Zhao Qingxue rushed ahead at an incredible speed. Only then did Lin Mo breathe a sigh of relief. He realized that he had been reckless once again. He should have waited with Senior Brother Jiang Hao and acted together. This was beyond what he could handle. But he felt relieved that he wouldn't be dragging others down with him, at least. Come on. He thrust a long sword toward the demonic beasts. The sword light swept across and cut the beasts off. These demonic beasts are nothing special. He wouldn't fall here if he could help it. Just when he thought he could handle it, a huge demonic beast appeared from somewhere. It bounded over to him. It was too late to avoid it. Boom. A powerful impact shook him. He was forced back. The beasts kept appearing. He felt insignificant and powerless. He thought he was very strong, but he wanted to turn and run at that moment. However, there was no way back. He felt despair. A roar sounded right at that moment. You have courage and talent. You have determination, and your heart is in the right place. Alas, you don't understand when and how to act. You have to think before you rush into things, said a voice. A figure landed in front of the demonic beasts. Clang. Boom. Powerful blade light swept in all directions. The demonic beasts fell under the blade, one after another. Jiang Hao landed on the ground and looked at Lin Mo. Lin Mo's eyes were filled with horror. He saw numerous beasts rushing like a tide toward Jiang Hao. He wanted to warn Jiang Hao. He expected him to be terrified too. But Jiang Hao just reached out and pushed him gently. Lin Mo flew backward with the impact. He flew away from the surge of the demonic beasts. Someone caught Lin Mo. Let's go. Zheng Shijiu led the way for a quick retreat. Senior Brother Zheng, Senior Brother Jiang is, Lin Ji stammered. It's fine. Senior brother Jiang told me to lead you all away. He'll be fine. Come on, said Zheng Shijiu confidently. Sure enough, a roar sounded from behind. Boom! A figure stood among the demonic beasts. His blade rose up and fell. His steps were light. He walked through the tide of demonic beasts as if it didn't matter. He was calm and unhurried. He was like a giant standing between heaven and earth. Lin Mo was in a daze. The gap between himself and Jiang Hao was like heaven and earth. Zhao Qingxue was also shocked. Could a golden core realm cultivator be so powerful? Zheng Shijiu didn't let them linger long and walked in the direction of more demonic beasts. Senior brother Zheng, isn't this the wrong way? Zhao Qingxue asked. Obviously, there were many demonic beasts here. Senior brother Jiang asked us to go this way. If he said it, it wouldn't be wrong, Zheng Shijiu said seriously. Zhao Qingxue didn't understand why Jiang Hao couldn't be wrong about it. He was a person, after all. Soon, the demonic beasts caught up to them. Zheng Shijiu led them to the original path, and the demonic beasts chased after them. In an instant, runes appeared around them. 100,000 divine sword talisman and earth-shattering talisman began to activate all around them. It gave Zheng Shijiu and the others time to escape. They found a forest of formations on that path. The demonic beasts' attacks wouldn't even touch them here. It was the safest route. Lin Mo and the others were astonished. Senior brother Jiang Hao had actually prepared all this. Jiang Hao stood amid the demonic beasts and watched Zheng Shijiu and the others escape. He breathed a sigh of relief. It's much safer once they enter the road. The path had many terrains, so hiding and defending themselves would be easier. As for him, he hadn't wanted to get involved. However, the heavenly fate misfortune pearl reacted a bit. Someone was going for the blood pool. It forced him to act. The changes in the blood pool made the heavenly fate misfortune pearl react. If the blood pool erupted, he would be the first one to perish. He needed to strengthen the seal so that the changes in the blood pool wouldn't affect him. With a sigh, Jiang Hao avoided the sea fog and headed toward Devil's Den. It wouldn't be difficult to find who had tampered with the blood pool. Jiyu Jin would tell him. He still couldn't get involved in the sect's conflict directly. He could only wait for everything to resolve itself. He just didn't know who would win in the end. Chapter 902. How long has it been since we first met? After leaving the forest, Jiang Hao transformed into the appearance of a scholar. He had turned into smiling San Sheng. He held the 1,000 Faces treasure fan in his hand. The fan opened. 1,000 Faces was written on one side, while the other side read, unparalleled in the world. Jiang Hao smiled and headed to Devil's Den. Along the way, he saw many people engaged in a fight. Mostly, it was the Heavenly Note sect fighting against the Heavenly Saint sect and the Great Thousand God sect. Since the fight was in the sect, it gave the Heavenly Note sect an advantage. Boom! At that moment, a person was sent flying. He just happened to fall in front of Jiang Hao. It was a woman from the Law Enforcement Hall. Jiang Hao thought he had seen her before. Are you okay? Jiang Hao asked with a smile. When she saw him, her eyes narrowed. Smiling San Sheng? There was no record of this person in the planned backup. How did he appear? At that moment, a distant rumbling sounded. Oh no! The woman from the Law Enforcement Hall was shocked. She hadn't followed the plan, and the other party was about to break free. At that moment, a middle-aged man broke through the encirclement and came straight toward the woman. If he killed her, he could break free. It was too late. A blade flashed as she thought about how to get out of this situation. It was the fifth form of the heavenly blade, Tao Inquiry. The middle-aged man faced the blade head-on and then fell to the ground, unconscious. The woman was shocked. She looked at Smile San Sheng. He was slowly putting away his fan. He walked to the middle-aged man with a smile and took his storage treasure. Can I have this? Everyone there was stunned. Then, Jiang Hao disappeared on the spot. The woman got up. That was Smiling San Sheng. We don't know whether he is an enemy or a friend. Meanwhile, Jiang Hao headed to Devil's Den. He walked in. The deeper he went, the more he felt the tremble of the blood pool. When he walked inside Devil's Den, he realized that this place was unexpectedly calm, unlike the raging fight outside. After a while, Jiang Hao reached the blood-red path. He held the fan up and walked along the surface of the blood pool. He stopped when he saw a familiar figure. At that moment, Ji Yujin also sensed Jiang Hao's arrival. He opened his eyes and smiled. "We meet again." He looked at Jiang Hao. "How long has it been since we first met?" "Senior, are you confused?" Jiang Hao asked back. "How long has it been since we first met?" Ji Yujin asked again. 5 or 6 years. Jiang Hao said after a thought. He remembered that when he first came here, he was at the early stage of the return to Void Realm. At that time, he was 33 or 34. 5 or 6 years ago, Ji Yujin found it unbelievable. "So, you're only about 40 now?" Jiang Hao smiled but didn't say anything. "Ha ha ha." Ji Yujin suddenly burst into laughter. He laughed so hard that he slumped over. "Senior, why are you laughing?" Jiang Hao asked. Ji Yujin held his stomach and took a deep breath. "Have you been to the West? Did you meet the Astronomical Academy?" "I did." "Senior, your name caused me some trouble," Jiang Hao said. "Tell me what happened." "Maybe I can help you solve your confusion," Ji Yujin said. "I have something to do first." Jiang Hao had no intention of chatting. Ji Yujin snapped his fingers. Many mirror images appeared around him. There are 2 groups of people trying to do something. The Saint Bandits and the Fallen Immortal clan are trying to activate the blood pool. "Did you come for this?" "Don't worry. They can't do anything. Tell me what happened, and I'll open a path for you to them." "They can't activate it." Jiang Hao asked calmly. "Do you really think the blood pool is so easy to control?" Ji Yujin laughed. "I'm still here. Can they really do as they please with me here?" "They can't do anything unless the Fallen Immortal clan, the Heavenly Spirit Tribe, the Heavenly Saint Sect, and the Saint Bandits unite." Jiang Hao made a mental note that this senior liked to talk big. In the future, when he took Ji Yujin's form, he would act the part. It would make his disguise more convincing. At least, it won't make people feel that Ji Yujin was similar to smiling San Sheng. But no matter how similar they were miles away from Jiang Hao. If they were, in any way, similar to Jiang Hao, it would be risky for him. Looking at the Fallen Immortal clan, it was evident that they were spread out everywhere. As for the Saint Bandits, it seemed like they could strike at any moment. Do the people of the Fallen Immortal clan still lack something? Jiang Hao felt that they were preparing for something big. Yes. They need precious blood, which can resonate with the blood pool and then trigger the power of the earth. It seems that the immortal seed is about to bloom. Ji Yujin said. Jiang Hao looked at Ji Yujin and couldn't help but admire him. He knew a lot. After that, he talked about the West and what had happened there. He mentioned Liu Ying. "Senior, do you know her?" Jiang Hao asked. "Not really." Ji Yujin shook his head. Jiang Hao sighed. He then mentioned the jade pendant of fortune. 4 pendants. Ji Yujin was puzzled. "You have one. Lu Mantian has one. Who else?" "The one with the Heavenly Dao Foundation establishment has one," said Jiang Hao. "And I'm not sure who else." He thought of Gui. But it was unlikely Gui had such an ability. There must be someone behind her. "Any clues?" Ji Yujin asked. "It's related to the curse," Jiang Hao said. "The longevity cursed tree." Ji Yu Changsheng. Ji Yujin sighed. "So, he has appeared." "It's not very likely," Jiang Hao was surprised. He had seen the longevity cursed tree before. He probably didn't come out by himself. Someone must have pried into it, Ji Yujin said. "But that's so difficult. It must be related to his origin, probably a curse. The one who got the last jade pendant, are they proficient in curses? Have they ever peered into the 100 Nights curse?" Jiang Hao was surprised. The curse of the Shangguan family was the 100 Nights curse. And Gui peeped into it. She had said she almost got discovered last time. She might have been discovered and targeted. Jiang Hao was shocked. He didn't think just a peek into a curse could attract such a terrifying fate. He needed to be careful. He looked at Jiyu Jin and suddenly realized that he had done the same. That was why there had been too many troubles in the West. Who won in the end? Lu Mantian? Jiyu Jin asked with curiosity. He lost, Jiang Hao said. He lost. Then, was it the one with the Heavenly Tao Foundation establishment? She also lost. Was it you then? I didn't get involved. Jiyu Changsheng's spokesperson cannot win either. So, who won? Chapter 903. The person leading the 12 heavenly kings to open the immortal path. Jiang Hao looked at the person in front of him. Jiyu Jin looked very confused. Jiang Hao thought for a moment. I guess none of the people who had the 4 jade pendants won. None of them. Jiyu Jin looked at Jiang Hao in disbelief. What did you do? You should know, senior, that I'm in no way that strong, Jiang Hao said calmly. So, what did you do? Jiyu Jin asked. Jiang Hao looked at him. I just used a simple method to prevent everyone from taking action. Jiyu Jin looked at Jiang Hao. I don't quite understand what you're saying. The vortex was dispelled, Jiang Hao said. Jiyu Jin nodded and smiled. So, you mean, your strength was not enough to confront Lu Mantian, so you used a simple method to break the vortex? Jiang Hao nodded. You're correct, senior. I could never be a match for Lu Mantian. Jiyu Jin looked at Jiang Hao. He was something else. He flipped the table itself because he didn't want to fight. It was a simple and straightforward solution to a big problem. Can you tell me what your simple method was? Jiyu Jin asked. Jiang Hao did not answer his question. The 2 pearls on his body should be kept secret even from Jiyu Jin. Otherwise, who knows what he would think? If he happened to be with the end of all things, then he could just use the blood pool to make the pearls erupt. That would be the end for all. He didn't want to die. Some people would keep their distance because they were scared of the 2 devastating pearls, but some others would chase after him relentlessly. Jiyu Jin was extraordinary, so it was necessary to be on guard. Jiyu Jin didn't think much about it. Instead, he asked, I assume you met people from the academy. How are they? Jiang Hao recalled Jing Dajiang. He just nodded. Then, he talked about the matter of the dragon's nest. He wanted to see how much Jiyu Jin knew about it. Dragon's nest. Jiyu Jin was surprised. It's accessible now? It seems something must have happened there. Did the sage's pages appear there? Jiang Hao was surprised. He hadn't mentioned the matter yet. In the end, he nodded. The dragon's nest is normally inaccessible. But, the sage's pages aren't ordinary. They like to appear in the most difficult of all places, said Jiyu Jin with a sigh. I've been to Dragon's Nest once before, and it didn't welcome me. I took something, and they held a grudge against me. I don't understand what's the use of guarding it. It's a waste not to share. Jiang Hao was speechless. Indeed, that was the reason. The dragon clan wasn't extinct. They would be unwilling to share the things that their clan might need. Dragon's Nest is just the former dwelling of the dragons, and the things there are very limited. There are not many records of it either. Jiyu Jin thought for a moment. The final resting place of the dragon clan should be overseas. The Abyssal Sea? Jiang Hao asked. I have actually been down to the Abyssal Sea. That is not a place where people can go whenever they want. There are many strange things inside. I didn't investigate much because I didn't have time. It's not entirely unlikely that the dragon clan might be down there, said Jiyu Jin. Jiang Hao thought of the recent events of the dragon clan and the heavenly spirit tribe. He looked at Jiyu Jin and suddenly realized something. He also attracted such terrifying existences, so there were many troubles in the West. Can the flowering of the immortal seed be stopped? Jiang Hao asked. It can be stopped temporarily, Jiyu Jin said. Back in the old days, the human emperor led people to defeat the immortal clan and left behind an artifact that could suppress the clan. That artifact might be failing. We can try to activate the artifact to temporarily suppress the flowering of the immortal seed. I remember the thing being in the Heavenly Spirit Tribe. Heavenly Spirit Tribe? Jiang Hao suddenly remembered that during the gathering, Gui and Xing were asking for information regarding the heavenly spirit tribe. Gui probably wouldn't care, but Xing was likely trying to prevent it. Liu, who was looking for people from the Great Thousand God sect, seemed to be doing it for that reason too. He wasn't sure about it. But he could ask where the artifact was and how to activate it. After all, the fallen immortal clan would target him and Xiaoxi, so a little action wouldn't hurt. It would be good if it could be suppressed for a few more years. After that, Ji Yujin thought about it and finally concluded that the divine object might be somewhere very difficult to reach. The Saint Bandits might know the details. As for the method of activation, the Heavenly Spirit Tribe and the Shenyuan clan might know about it. The Dragon clan would also know about it. Don't you know about it, Senior? Jiang Hao asked. I don't. Ji Yujin shrugged. The era of the human emperor has passed, and the era of the immortal clan has also passed. During that time, I gave them time, but they could only live in my shadow. While I was alive, I didn't have a need to stop them. You are still alive, but it doesn't seem to matter to you. Jiang Hao thought. Has this divine object been inactive for many years? He asked. Yes. Ji Yujin nodded. Will it be very dirty? Jiang Hao asked. Ji Yujin was puzzled. Probably. Jiang Hao made a mental note of it. By the way, Senior, do you know why the abyssal sea flows backward? It's a sign of the 12 heavenly kings becoming immortals, but they can't stop it. The entire sea is helping them, but to seize this opportunity, they need a great opportunity. Most likely, they need an outstanding person to lead all 12 of them to the immortal path. This also requires their luck to break through. The fact is, they probably only know that the opportunity is here, but they don't know they need to find someone yet, and they need all the heavenly kings. The abyssal sea's backward flow is the symbol of broken luck, and the sea can sense the changes in the sea area. That's why it's flowing backward. Can they succeed? So far, no heavenly king has succeeded. In this world, where can you find someone who can lead all the 12 heavenly kings on the immortal path? It's like turning the entire sea into an immortal domain. Even in the Great Era War, their hopes were extremely slim. Chapter 904, Xiao Li, Sister-in-law. Becoming an immortal for the 12 heavenly kings was indeed challenging. Hong Yuye had mentioned it before. It requires all 12 kings to tread that path together. Moreover, they couldn't be obstructed by the heavenly king's fortune. Achieving immortality was even more challenging for them than reaching the heavens. However, this matter had nothing to do with Jiang Hao. He was only interested in the abyssal sea. If it wasn't related to the Dragon clan, he wouldn't bother. People from overseas could do whatever they wanted. It wouldn't affect him. After much thought, Jiang Hao wanted to take out the ancient pages and let Ji Yujin take a look at them. However, he gave up. The ancient pages were related to the era. If it was used by Ji Yujin, the consequences would be unimaginable. Although the other party didn't seem like a bad person, appearances could be deceiving. Even if the results turned out okay, who knew what might happen after? He himself was held back by his own evil. Who's to say that evil won't eventually take control? It was better to be cautious. Is there anything else, Senior? Jiang Hao asked. If there were no more questions, he would go find the fallen immortal clan. It was crucial to stop the fallen immortal clan. Otherwise, keeping Xiao Li safe would be quite troublesome. Moreover, there would always be people eyeing him. If they started probing further, the consequences would be unpredictable. It was good to give them some trouble to deal with. The fluctuations in the blood pool made him worried. Even though it couldn't be activated, the Heavenly Fate Misfortune Pearl might get triggered in other ways. Ji Yujin wasn't aware of his concerns. We talked a lot today, Ji Yujin said. Be cautious about Ji Yu Changsheng. He has found a spokesperson, and it may not take long for him to come out. He is highly dangerous, so it's best to find a way to restrain him. Restrain him? Jiang Hao was puzzled. Is this danger directed at me or his spokesperson? His spokesperson's fate depends on their luck. If they aren't careful, it could be dangerous for them. If handled properly, there will be many benefits for them. First, they need to break free from the opponent's absolute advantage. They might need a strong person to help them, Ji Jin said. The most direct way is to try to find out the opponent's existence and communicate with them. If they can achieve this, Ji Changsheng will have to reconsider his actions. In simple terms, he doesn't want anything to happen. As for you, he will also target you because you have my identity. If you won the fight for the fortune, he will definitely target you, said Ji Jin helplessly. When I defeated him back then, he turned the longevity-cursed tree to endure my torment. Now that you have become Ji Jin, he will certainly come looking for you. But you are still alive and here? Jiang Hao said. But he will find you first, Ji Jin said. Jiang Hao was speechless. Do you know about the longevity clan? Ji Jin asked. Jiang Hao shook his head. Do you know about the 100 Nights curse? Ji Jin asked again. Jiang Hao knew about that. Find a way to suppress it. Suppressing Ji Changsheng's connection with this world will make it much more difficult for him to come back, Ji Jin said. How dangerous is Ji Changsheng? Jiang Hao asked. Very dangerous. I can't tell you all the details yet, said Ji Jin. He has been exiled for countless years. It's uncertain if his thoughts are still his own. He is like me. Although I can communicate normally with you, I might not be me once I leave this place anymore. Ji Changsheng is the same. The place he was exiled to is not a normal place, and perhaps has not himself anymore. So, evil has taken over everything. Jiang Hao sighed inwardly. These powerful individuals weren't normal, after all. After that, Jiang Hao talked with Ji Jin for a while. There wasn't anything important to discuss, so he headed toward the fallen immortal clan. This time, he gained a lot of information. He realized that he could always ask Ji Jin if he had questions in the future. The other party was truly a powerful individual with extensive knowledge. He had told Jiang Hao that the Shangguan family was a branch of the longevity clan, and their torment was due to Ji Changsheng. Ji Changsheng was also behind Gui. To suppress Ji Changsheng, he needed to contact the Shangguan family, and Gui also needed to understand who was pulling the strings behind her. Jiang Hao's task didn't have to be too difficult. He just needed to stall for time. By then, he will have enough strength to evade powerful individuals. Even in the Great Era War, he could hide in an ordinary place and continue cultivating spirit herbs. He didn't have big aspirations. He just wanted to live life peacefully. So, the struggles of those talented powerhouses had nothing to do with him. He was in no rush. He needed to deal with immediate matters first. Ji Jin breathed a sigh of relief as he watched Jiang Hao. In the middle stage of the Immortal Ascension platform at the age of 40, is there such a person in this world? But it doesn't matter now. He is already considered a member of the Academy. When he becomes famous, he could even surpass the Clear Sky School. Back then, Ji Jin had wanted to lead the Academy to glory by surpassing the Clear Sky School. Unfortunately, he hadn't been able to. Although he was strong, when he arrived in the south, the Academy had to fend for themselves. This time, we can be successful. No matter how I look at him, he's extraordinary. I have never heard of anyone being able to break the fortune vortex. Ji Jin closed his eyes and fell silent. It was as though he had never woken up. At the spirit herb garden of the Cliff of Broken Hearts, powerful forces clashed. Boom! Xiao Li, Cheng Chou, and others were hiding under a hut. Xiao Li covered her head. She was afraid something might fall from above. What should we do now, Lord Beast? Cheng Chou was worried. My friends on the path will protect us. They won't come after us. Don't worry, said the spirit beast. Cheng Chou felt relieved. At that moment, two people walked over to them from a distance. The spirit beast quickly turned to look. Those aren't my friends. Xiao Li saw a man and a woman approaching her. They exuded a powerful aura. Cheng Chou and the others fainted. Only the spirit beast and Xiao Li remained conscious. This beast seems extraordinary, the woman said. Forget about it. Let's take these people over there. Everything is almost ready. Unfortunately, Jiang Hao isn't here. Otherwise, we could have taken him along too, said the man. Xiao Li pouted. You're all bad people. You even beat up senior brother Cheng. The two didn't pay attention to her. Instead, their aura burst forth and surpassed even the return to Void Realm. This time, they would be successful. Xiao Li swung her fist, but the dragon pearl on her chest dimmed significantly. She rushed forward. Just as she was about to hit them, a sudden red light appeared. In the blink of an eye, Xiao Li fell to the ground. Xiao Li rolled on the ground. How dare you bully me? You dodged it. Who dodged? A red figure landed beside Xiao Li. Xiao Li looked up at the person in joy. Sister-in-law. Chapter 905. The invincible smiling San Sheng. Hong Yuye stood by Xiao Li and reached out to help her up. What are you doing? Hong Yuye asked. I wanted to beat up these two bad people. Can you beat them? Huh? Xiao Li looked puzzled, as if she couldn't believe there were any bad guys she couldn't beat. However, she quickly put aside these thoughts and took out 2 peaches from her pocket. I saved these. She handed them over. Are they sweet? Hong Yuye took one of the peaches. They are very sweet. Xiao Li nodded confidently. Hong Yuye took a bite. Where did you go with the fruits? Huh? Xiao Li was puzzled. Nowhere. Let me see your storage treasure, Hong Yuye said. Xiao Li obediently took it out. Hong Yuye glanced at it. Keep one for your senior brother. Oh, Hong Yuye ate the peach. They sat under the house and watched the place getting bombed constantly. Are you afraid? Hong Yuye asked. Xiao Li nodded. What are you afraid of? I'm worried that the house will be bombed and will fall on my head. Anything else? I'm also worried my food will be gone, and there will be nothing to eat. Hong Yuye smiled. Apart from that, what else are you afraid of? I'm scared that senior brother Jiang will be angry at me. I was constantly afraid that my parents wouldn't want me anymore, or they might starve or be cold. Xiao Li's eyes turned red. Senior brother Jiang is very good. He always lets me go home. Senior brother Cheng Chou is also very good. He always went with me and helped prepare food for my parents. I thought they would always be with me. I thought they would watch me grow up. Suddenly, Xiao Li looked at Hong Yuye. You and senior brother Jiang won't abandon me, right? Hong Yuye was silent for a long time. Senior sister? Xiao Li gently pushed Hong Yuye's arm as tears streamed down her face. We can live for a very, very long time, Hong Yuye said softly. You won't suddenly fall asleep and never wake up, right? Xiao Li asked. Hong Yuye nodded. Xiao Li looked glad. She looked around. Where's the beast? Maybe it went swimming, Hong Yuye said. Xiao Li nodded. She didn't find that strange at all. The two fell silent for a while. Do you remember anything from before? Hong Yuye asked. Before? The days when I lived with my parents? Xiao Li asked. Hong Yuye was silent. Before you met your parents? I don't remember. Xiao Li scratched her head. Occasionally, I see some figures on senior brother. I see them on the beast too. Figures? Hong Yuye was curious. Yes. Xiao Li looked up at the sky as if afraid something would fall from it. Yeah. They look very stern. Hong Yuye lowered her head in thought. Why do you think of senior brother Jiang as your elder brother? My mother. She asked me to follow him no matter what. She said he was like my older brother. Is that so? On the edge of the blood pool, there were many formations. Many people stood in the formations. They intended to drive the formations with their own strength. By placing people as the foundation, the formation could turn out to be most powerful. At that moment, the middle-aged man in the center frowned. It's been so long. Why haven't they brought the person? Maybe people from the Heavenly Saint sect and the Great Thousand God sect are fighting, so it's taking a bit longer, someone said. The middle-aged man nodded. Indeed, that could be the case. There was still no sign of their return after a while. Try and contact them, the middle-aged man said. After some time, he asked, how is it? What did they say? They said they would be back soon, and the plan is progressing smoothly. At that moment, a figure arrived next to the middle-aged man. The middle-aged man's eyes narrowed as he sensed someone beside him. A powerful force erupted. Their protective treasures activated. The sound of a blade being drawn echoed everywhere. Soon, the impact turned into a crushing force. The blade clashed against the defensive treasure. In the blink of an eye, it broke through the defense, met the attacking treasure head-on, and then the treasure was cut off by a single slash. The middle-aged man was shocked. He tried to escape. However, the blade slashed across his waist. At that moment, his vision blurred. He could see the blade touching his defensive robe. The robe shattered. The blade swept to his skin. A scholarly man swung his blade and sliced the middle-aged man at the waist. The upper half of the middle-aged man's body fell to the ground. His eyes filled with horror. "Who are you?" The scholarly man stood upright in the formation. The long blade in his hand turned into a folding fan. The fan unfolded. "Who do you think I am?" Smiling San Sheng. The middle-aged man was shocked. "Sir, you have no grievances with our immortal clan. Why did you attack us?" Smiling San Sheng placed his foot on the man's head and smiled. "You are amusing. Do I need to hold some grudge if I want to make a move? Can't I just do what I want without reason? Well, now we have some beef, don't we?" Jiang Hao's blade was already in motion. Even before the opponent could understand what was happening, the blade had already swept across his neck. Boom! The corpse shattered. Smiling San Sheng nodded and smiled. My, now we have bad blood. If you want revenge, I can humor you and kill you all to survive. Fair game, am I right?" The members of the fallen immortal clan looked at Smiling San Sheng with furrowed brows. They neither fled nor attacked. "Do you intend to be an enemy of our clan, senior? You should know that our clan is about to return to its peak, and those who want to be enemies will end up dead," said an old man icily. Jiang Hao nodded. "I see. It seems that you are indeed very dangerous. But you may not be aware of one thing." "What thing?" the old man asked. "You should know that I am about to become invincible too. Anyone, including every clan, will end up dead if they go against me. Now that you have bad blood with me, you'll end up the same, too. Everyone says that Smiling San Sheng is arrogant and ignorant and acts recklessly. It seems you also have a habit of wishful thinking." The old man chuckled. At that moment, they secretly activated the formation. Since Jiang Xiao Li hadn't arrived yet, they would use this person's blood. This person wasn't an ordinary person, after all. Their plan might still work. However, the moment he activated it, he felt a presence behind him. A blade pierced through him. When did that happen? It was impossible. He stared at the opponent. Even a cultivator at the early stage of the Immortal Ascension platform couldn't escape his shell lock. "I do have a habit of wishful thinking. I was wishfully thinking of cutting you down with a single slash. It seems it came true." Smiling San Sheng laughed heartily. The blade swung. He used the first form of the heavenly blade, moonslaying. With a single slash, the man's body was torn open. It seems that wishful thinking does come true. Ha ha ha. Chapter 906. I just kill them along the way. On the other side, around the blood pool, the Saint Bandits were waiting. They hoped for the fallen immortal clan's success. Then, they would steal the fruits of the other party's efforts. They did not want the immortal seed to bloom. If the immortal seed bloomed, the immortal clan would return, and both the Heavenly Saint clan and the Heavenly Spirit tribe would be favored by heaven and earth. Their strength would increase at an unimaginable speed. They would also break through difficult realms. They could achieve in moments what the human race would strive for a lifetime. But, although the Saint Bandits belonged to the Heavenly Spirit tribe, they were not favored by heaven and earth. Even if the Heavenly Spirit tribe regained their favor, they would still be outcasts. That wouldn't be a good thing. "Don't worry too much. Everything will be all right," said a man as he looked into the distance. "What we need to do now is to make ourselves as strong as possible. Without enough strength, we won't be able to complete the final task." The others nodded. They had their own things to do. As long as they could do them, the process would be smooth. Achieving their goals unscathed was impossible. The more they hesitated, the further they would be from their goal. They had to do their part. The fallen immortal clan is a bit slow, Yin Tian said. They had been waiting there for a long time. It shouldn't have taken this long. Should we go and check? A woman asked. 2 people can come with me to take a look, Yin Tian said. A man and a woman followed him. The fallen immortal clan was supposed to be near the blood pool. If they didn't come, it would be troublesome. Most of their plans relied on them. If there was a slight change, it would mean failure. They intentionally leaked the information about the blood pool so that they could completely take away the immortal clan's achievements. They had helped them a lot in the beginning. Do they know about us? A woman asked. It shouldn't be. We've made a lot of preparations. Yin Tian shook his head. Could it be people from the Heavenly Note sect? If they found out about this, they would definitely try to stop it, said the young man with them. No. It shouldn't be. According to my speculation, the Heavenly Note sect is busy dealing with the problems outside. They need all their manpower for that. We deliberately made it so that the fallen immortal clan would not bring along powerful people to the blood pool. The formidable members of the fallen immortal clan are all outside fighting the Heavenly Note sect. So, the Heavenly Note sect is occupied. They cannot be here, Yin Tian said. Maybe something unexpected has happened. Let's go and check. If you can help, take action. They cannot fail. The revival of that person depends on the fallen immortal clan's success. They knew some things that others did not. But to succeed, timing was key. They couldn't succeed under just any circumstances. They had planned this elaborately and roped the fallen immortal clan in. After a while, they finally arrived at the location where the fallen immortal clan was supposed to be. They had chosen this location, so they knew the safe areas around. At that moment, they sensed the pulse of the earth and a powerful force. But it was not complete. The 3 of them looked over, and their eyes narrowed. They saw a scholar in white clothes wielding a long blade. He was moving through the crowd of the fallen immortal clan members. His figure disappeared and reappeared, and his long knife swept like flowing light. The blade rose and fell, and the earth was scattered with corpses. Few could confront him head-on. After a short time, only 1 person remained within the formation. A folding fan appeared in his hand. The 3 were somewhat surprised, but they quickly hid. They looked at each other in surprise. Smiling San Sheng? Yin Tian was quite curious. Why is he killing the fallen immortal clan? Because he happened to come across them, someone said. What kind of reason is that? Yin Tian said instinctively. The next moment, he felt a chill behind him. Boom. Power erupted, and Yin Tian retreated with his 2 companions. When he turned around, he saw a scholar standing in the position where smiling San Sheng had just been. I was just curious about what you guys were talking about, so I came over to listen. Smiling San Sheng shrugged. They were the Saint Bandits. There was no need for Jiang Hao to make an enemy of them. These people had a peculiar ability. Only the Heaven Lock technique could deal with them. Is there anything you want from us, fellow disciple? Yin Tian beat a hasty retreat. The other party had approached them silently. Although his cultivation seemed to be similar to his, every move and gesture was beyond his reach. This person was very powerful. He had heard that smiling San Sheng was in the return to Void Realm, but it seemed that the previous information had been inaccurate. Can I ask you a few questions? Jiang Hao smiled and asked. Of course. Yin Tian nodded. Do you know if the Heavenly Spirit Tribe has an artifact that can suppress the immortal seed? Jiang Hao asked. He had been thinking about who would be suitable to ask for that information. Unexpectedly, these people had found their way to him. They were few, and he could deal with them easily. Are you trying to stop the immortal seed from blooming? Yin Tian asked. I killed many of them, and am afraid they will seek revenge, Jiang Hao said casually, but Yin Tian and the others didn't believe it at all. The thing does exist, but we cannot give you an accurate location because it keeps moving. Only those who have researched it know the location. Do you know how to activate that artifact? Jiang Hao asked again. Of course. Yin Tian nodded. He tossed him a jade slip. The answer is inside this. Jiang Hao was surprised and quickly checked the jade slip. He found that it was indeed a method to activate the artifact. The artifact was called the Carnate Stone. He had obtained it so easily that it made Jiang Hao suspicious of its authenticity. He then appraised it. It was real. It had been too easy. "Do you know where the Dragon Clan went?" asked Jiang Hao. "I don't know. They were sealed a long time ago," Yin Tian said. Jiang Hao nodded and didn't press further. Instead, he disappeared on the spot. With the fallen immortal clan dealt with, the blood pool became stable. The remaining task was to find Shangguan Qingsu. It was necessary to prevent the return of Jiyu Changsheng. But he didn't know how long the fight would last. Outside the Heavenly Note sect, Mu Longyu wanted to visit the Heavenly Note sect to ask about Hai Luo. But he was surprised to find that a big battle had broken out in the sect. Powerful forces swept in all directions. It was like a large-scale battle. Mu Longyu sighed and entered the Heavenly Note sect. He might as well get involved, even just to build a good relationship with the sect. Chapter 907. The ones who were harmed the most were ordinary disciples stepping out of the blood pool. Jiang Hao felt a sense of calmness in the surroundings. The Heavenly Fate Misfortune Pearl showed no reaction, and the blood pool also became stable. He could now focus on finding Shangguan Qingsu. If he couldn't find her, he would go and meet senior brother Zheng and wait for this matter to end. He wondered what the final outcome would be. In theory, the Heavenly Note sect should win. After all, they dared to let these people in, so they might already have the manpower to deal with them. Jiang Hao glanced at the core of Devil's Den, where the stars were flowing backward. He had no idea what lay beneath. Regardless of his cultivation realm, he had no intention of going inside. Sometimes it was better to stay away from such places. A slight carelessness could bring catastrophic consequences. When he left Devil's Den, Jiang Hao found that the battle was in full swing. Before, it was difficult to determine who had the upper hand. It seemed Heavenly Note sect had a slight advantage. However, the situation was still dangerous around the mines. The enemies targeted the mines. They were probably from the Heavenly Gate sect. The sea fog of the Saint Bandits was dissipating. It meant they didn't want to continue engaging in the conflict. After waiting for 3 days near the mines without finding Shangguan Qingsu, Jiang Hao decided to leave and join senior brother Zheng. In the outer sect area, powerful fluctuations of energy forced Zheng Shijiu and others to retreat. They encountered many dangers on the way. If it weren't for occasional runes and formations, they wouldn't have been able to pass safely. Lin Mo was injured. Some injuries were old, and some were fresh. He had realized that his strength and power were insignificant in the face of such an event. Jiang Hao, who had foreseen the danger, had prepared for retreat. He had instructed them in detail before he left. He had all the preparations in place for 1,000 miles. For a moment, Lin Mo truly experienced that he was nothing in front of Jiang Hao. The pride and confidence he had before were gone. "We should keep hiding. The sect's conflict is too great for someone as ordinary as us to do something about it," said Zheng Shijiu seriously. He was afraid that these people would be reckless. Junior brother Jiang had handed them over to him, and he didn't want to lose anyone. They nodded and didn't dare to disagree. Zhao Qingxue was frightened. She had never seen such a big battle before. It was beyond her abilities. The seniors in the sect had no time or the energy to care about her as they had always done. Roar! There was another commotion from the demonic beasts. The group quickly got up. They didn't dare to rest here. They would be food for the beasts if they lingered. At that moment, they felt fidgety and on edge. Every sound startled them. But soon, the commotion died down, and a figure walked over to them from a distance. Zheng Shijiu hefted his long sword. "Senior brother Zheng, it's all right. It's just me," Jiang Hao said. Then, he appeared in front of everyone. Jiang Hao remained calm and composed as if there was nothing that could move him in this world. When the 4 people saw him, they sighed in relief. They already felt safe. "Thank you for working so hard, senior brother Zheng," Jiang Hao said politely. "Not at all," Zheng Shijiu shook his head. "I'm glad that you are back safe. In a few days, the battle might be over, Jiang Hao said calmly. The others nodded. With Jiang Hao there, dealing with the demonic beasts became much easier. The battle within the sect became more intense. 7 days later, everything calmed down. The number of demonic beasts also decreased. Around early November, the battle came to an end. Jiang Hao breathed a sigh of relief. Although he didn't know what had happened, he believed the sect had won. 3 days later, the people from the law enforcement hall checked the surroundings. They found Jiang Hao and his group. From them, Jiang Hao learned that the sect had deterred a strong enemy. Patrol duties could be resumed. The patrol duties would be much more difficult because of the recent developments. They needed to be vigilant. Jiang Hao knew that they couldn't be careless after this. Usually after a great battle, there would be some people hiding around. Their injuries were not that serious, so they could continue with their mission. They were told to be vigilant and patrol the areas around them, but to turn a blind eye if they found someone formidable. After that, Jiang Hao and the others began to patrol. This time, they patrolled around various mines. The area was very wide, and they kept patrolling it without rest. The outer sect also suffered a lot of damage. Before the outbreak of the battle, some sect disciples had already dispersed. Everyone was recuperating. This time, the injuries are more severe than before, Jiang Hao murmured. He also saw some corpses as they passed along some places. Even though casualties were few, they were still present. Being weak was dangerous. The high and the mighty wouldn't bother with the others. They wouldn't care about the weak. The only way was to get stronger to stay safe. Only then could they survive. Jiang Hao continued to patrol. When he found injured people, he helped them get to the safe area. From there, the sect took over. The inner sect was better off, and each cave provided shelter. The outer sect bore the brunt of it all. All Jiang Hao could do was to use some healing techniques on the injured. He could only do as much as he was able. If the people were injured fatally, he was helpless to do anything. He wasn't worried about attracting attention because everyone assumed he followed the Bloodwish path. Lin Mo and the others felt the same way. Zheng Shijiu kept his head down and didn't think much about it. He never believed that Jiang Hao practiced the Bloodwish path. It was precisely because of that belief that he trusted this person unwaveringly. Jiang Hao would never harm others without reason. He clearly had principles. If one didn't plot against him or try to cause him harm, Jiang Hao never really made the first move to harm others. Jiang Hao patrolled the area and felt that the battle had hurt those with lower cultivation realms the most. 3 days later, Jiang Hao patrolled near the Cliff of Broken Hearts. He saw several outer sect disciples talking to each other. They seemed frazzled by the recent battle. Among them, a woman nodded and listened attentively. She looked surprised. She was a good listener. When Jiang Hao passed by, he talked to these people. When he talked with the woman, he activated his daily appraisal ability. After a moment, Jiang Hao turned around and left. She was Shangguan Qingsu. She actually stayed within the sect. Quite bold on her part. But it makes sense. She can blend in amid the chaos instead of finding a new way to enter the sect later. Jiang Hao admired her grit. From the feedback he got, it was evident that she was here for smiling San Sheng. Her goal was none other than to deal with the 100 Nights curse. I've finally found her. Now, I need to see how to deal with her. It was easy to suppress the curse temporarily, but doing it every 3 months was difficult. It was too complicated. It is equivalent to maintaining contact with an entire clan. He needed to consider how to proceed. Chapter 908, Demoness. You're becoming more like a sect master. The sect was recuperating, but the end of the recent battle did nothing to bring peace of mind to the disciples of the sect. On the contrary, they worried even more. Prices of goods soared for a while, and the cost of talismans doubled. Unfortunately, Jiang Hao had to patrol and couldn't craft talismans for sale. He felt like he lost a chance to earn spirit stones. Every time he passed by the market, he could only shake his head and sigh. The patrol tasks were precisely the reason there was no one like him selling talismans. The battle had been between the powerful cultivators, so the spirit herb gardens didn't suffer much damage. The powerful cultivators had no interest in the gardens because it didn't benefit them. It was a contest of strength among the elites. The fate of the sect was in the hands of a few. During the patrol, they encountered many people. They learned quite a lot from them. It was said that the masters of each branch were severely injured. Elder Beiji's condition wasn't good either. If someone hadn't intervened midway, the conflict might not have ended so easily. Someone intervened. Jiang Hao was surprised to hear this. He couldn't understand who had helped the Heavenly Note sect. However, it was just a rumor as no one was able to tell him who it was. Liu Xingchen was also busy and didn't come to meet him. In one of his patrols, Jiang Hao saw 6 undercover agents. He captured 2 of them, and let Zheng Shijiu capture the other 2. The rest were too powerful for them to deal with. It wasn't until early January that the patrol duties decreased, and everyone had some time to rest. When they sat down to rest, Zheng Shijiu sighed. It seems that the law enforcement hall is busier than expected. They were doing tasks under the law enforcement hall, so they could feel how busy they were. However, it also had many benefits for their cultivation. During this time, their spirits were highly concentrated, and their power was constantly in operation. After patrolling for several months, everyone's strength had improved. They also gained a better understanding of how to handle things. Jiang Hao breathed a sigh of relief and stood under a tree. During the patrol, they hadn't gained anything much. There were no mines or areas with spirit herbs. In the 5 months of patrol duties, apart from gaining more information on the matter, they didn't find any other benefits. Fortunately, the patrol mission was coming to an end, and he could go back to manage the spirit herb garden. After a moment, he looked at his interface. Name, Jiang Hao, age, 40, cultivation realm, middle stage of the Immortal Ascension platform, cultivation method, Heavenly Sound 100 revolutions, Hongmeng Heart Sutra, divine ability, 9 revolutions death substitution, unique, daily appraisal, clear and pure heart, reappearance of hidden spirit, divine might, revival of withered tree, heavenly cauldron, indestructible Vaja, cultivation, 27-100, can be cultivated, lifeblood, 25-100, can be cultivated, divine abilities, 2/3. Cannot be obtained, 40 years old. Jiang Hao felt sentimental. He had aged so soon. There was still quite a long way to go to reach the late stage of the Immortal Ascension platform. It would be challenging for him to survive with even this cultivation realm. It would be better to become stronger as soon as possible. Now that the big battle is over, the Candlelight Pill Pavilion is probably eager to plant top-grade spirit herbs again. With sufficient spirit stones, he could cultivate a large quantity of top-grade spirit herbs. He had 180,000 spirit stones left. After killing the fallen immortal clan members, he had gotten a lot of spirit stones. He couldn't find some of their storage treasures, but the ones he did find had many spirit stones. It was almost impossible to have so many spirit stones. He obtained 260,000 spirit stones and numerous elixirs, but there were almost no magic treasures. For some reason, it seemed that the fallen immortal clan's members only had defensive treasures and not many offensive treasures. Perhaps they weren't that wealthy. He had 440,000 spirit stones. Was it normal for someone at the Immortal Ascension platform to have that many spirit stones? He had never met someone with that many spirit stones. Jiang Hao didn't think too much about it and took a break for a while. When the patrol missions were over, he planned to visit the Lawless Tower and ask about the Shangguan family. When a gathering happened next, he would inform Gui about who was targeting her, and then they could confront Jiyu Changsheng together. He just needed to stall for time. He suddenly heard footsteps approaching. Others couldn't hear them. It meant a power cultivator was coming that way. At the Lawless Tower, there were 4 people. They were Zhuang Yuzhen, King Hai Luo, Nangong Yu, and Mi Ling Yu. Have you noticed it? The number of people visiting has decreased lately. It seems like they're too busy, Nangong Yu said. Unfortunately, we can't find out what has happened, Mi Ling Yu said. We should wait for someone to visit. Then we can find out, King Hai Luo said. When do you plan to leave, Heavenly King? Lingyu asked curiously. No one can force me to do anything here. Besides, everyone will do everything to protect me here, said Hai Luo. Why do you want to leave? I heard that the 12 heavenly kings are preparing to ascend to immortality. Aren't you planning to do that as well? Lingyu asked. How can he ascend when he isn't even at the peak of the immortal ascension platform? Zhuang Yuzhen asked. You old bastard. You're one to talk. You're only at the early stage of the primordial spirit realm. King Hai Luo sneered. Zhuang Yuzhen chuckled. I already ascended. King Hai Luo snorted. Well, my cultivation realm is still higher than yours here. Even 10 of you can't defeat me. Haven't you figured it out yet? I'm different from all of you here. King Hai Luo has another name overseas. Do you know what it is? Lingyu asked Zhuang Yuzhen. Zhuang Yuzhen said, Little bastard. The group started arguing again. Nangongyu sat in her cell and felt that these people were all right. She had been here for so long that she didn't even think of escaping anymore. But she had to leave one day. Her fellow members were all achieving extraordinary things. She couldn't stay here indefinitely. She was waiting for someone to arrive. She hoped to exchange some secret information for freedom. At the 100 Flowers Lake, Hong Yuye sat at the stone table and gently lifted the teapot to pour herself some tea. The tea was reddish. Spiritual energy flowed inside. At that moment, a white figure descended. Sect Master, said Baiji respectfully. Is it over? Hong Yuye put down the teapot. Baiji nodded. It's all thanks to you, Sect Master. Hong Yuye turned to look at the white figure outside the pavilion. You're becoming more like a sect master. Baiji looked astonished. She knelt in respect. Hong Yuye looked at her. Don't overthink. Baiji nodded but still felt uneasy. Tell me about what we have gained this time, Hong Yuye calmly said. The sect suffered damage and needs a long time to recover. The mines were blasted open, and something inside was taken away. It's presumably the work of the Heavenly Gate sect, Baiji said. The important members of the Heavenly Saint sect and the Great Thousand God sect tried to abduct Miao Tinglian and Mu Qi from the Cliff of Broken Hearts. However, they failed. They have been captured. We also captured a few members of the Great Thousand God sect, but a certain disciple carrying a lantern is unaccounted for. We are still investigating. Chapter 909, Demoness. What has he done? As the sky gradually darkened, Jiang Hao sat under a tree and closed his eyes to rest. He sensed someone approaching. The person's cultivation was extremely high and peculiar. It was there and not there at the same time. If it weren't for a trip to the west and his skills from the Nameless Manual, he wouldn't have been able to sense them. Footsteps approached from afar steadily. What surprised him was that the person didn't intend to leave. Usually, such a powerful person would have no reason to interact with them. Jiang Hao felt the person approaching him. At that moment, his power began to surge silently. Junior, are you awake? Asked a voice. Jiang Hao opened his eyes. He saw a man with a blindfold holding a lantern as he looked to the side. It was the lantern-carrying disciple. Jiang Hao pretended to be surprised. He then got up. Senior, is there something you need? He noticed that everyone else had fallen asleep. The other person waved his hand, and everyone fell asleep. The lantern-carrying disciple stood still. Those who were with him were nowhere to be seen. I have some questions for you, Junior, said the person. Senior, please feel free to ask anything, Jiang Hao said. Is it difficult to leave the sect? Asked the person. It's difficult, Jiang Hao said. Nowadays, every part of the sect is patrolled by disciples of the Law Enforcement Hall. The situation outside is the same. It's even more strict. To leave, even with a teleportation treasure, is quite challenging. Who is the strongest in the sect? That would be the sect master, Jiang Hao said. Baiji? Yes. Elder Baiji is the acting sect master. Aren't you afraid of me? Senior, why would I be? We are all fellow disciples. Fellow disciples? The lantern-carrying disciple looked at Jiang Hao. Which way is it to leave the sect? Jiang Hao pointed in a direction. That way. The lantern-carrying disciple glanced in the direction he pointed. So, that is the direction to leave the sect. But I'm not sure I can leave. Finally, he turned to Jiang Hao. What's your name, Junior? Jiang Hao immediately said, Qiu Luo. Jiang Hao had seen that name before when he had appraised someone who targeted him before. Since he had not encountered them yet, he didn't know the details. But he used that name to be safe. The lantern-carrying disciple chuckled. Take this as a gift. He handed Jiang Hao a small lantern. It looked somewhat similar to the one he held. Jiang Hao thanked him. Thank you, senior. I'm leaving now, said the lantern-carrying disciple as he turned and looked in the direction Jiang Hao had pointed earlier. I just don't know if I can get out. Why are you in such a hurry, senior? Jiang Hao was quite curious. It's something I have to face sooner or later. The lantern-carrying disciple looked in the distance. I came with a purpose, and I will naturally bear the consequences when I leave. Even if the consequences are severe, what can I do? The wind starts from the end of the green duckweed, the waves form between the ripples. Even if hope is faint and the road ahead is dark, I must carry my lantern and move forward. With that, the lantern-carrying disciple tightened his grip on the lantern and walked away. At that moment, the abyss faintly appeared beneath him, and a pitch-black path extended in front of him. The lantern-carrying disciple walked in the darkness, carried a lantern, and was ready to be swallowed by the darkness at any moment. Perhaps we will never meet again. But I know you are different from others. I like you. The lantern-carrying disciple disappeared. His voice was clear in Jiang Hao's ears. If possible, I will give you a gift. You are my favorite person I've encountered in many years. Jiang Hao watched him leave. He shook his head and sighed. The lantern-carrying disciple was a good person, but unfortunately, it was difficult to escape from the Heavenly Note sect. Sure enough, not long after, a great fight raged. It was quickly suppressed. Whether the lantern-carrying disciple died or was captured, Jiang Hao didn't know. In any case, he had no more connection with him. After that, Jiang Hao did not encounter any more powerful individuals. But he dared not be careless. At the 100 Flowers Lake, Baiji knelt on the ground and reported her findings. At the same time, she mentioned the gains and losses. The losses were immense, but they had gained information about Feng Hua. At the same time, they found out more about the person from Azure Mountain. Perhaps they could learn more. They could find out why the Heavenly Note sect was targeted. Is there news from Feng Hua? Asked Hong Yuye. Yes. Baiji nodded. He has many avatars. It is said that an important avatar is in the Sunset Immortal sect. The identity is still unknown, but we have found traces of her main body. Recently, she seems to be urgently searching for a kind of medicine. This urgency may reveal something, not ruling out intentionally exposing himself. But it is also the closest time to her main body. Perhaps there will be news sometime later. Hong Yuye nodded. Baiji suddenly froze, and then a commotion outside caught her attention. Baiji immediately said, the lantern-carrying disciple has been captured, but, speak. Hong Yuye sipped her tea calmly. According to the information, the lantern-carrying disciple said that he came here because there was already a trap in place. He wants to know who did it, she said. That's what he said anyway. Who is he referring to? Hong Yuye asked. Baiji lowered her head. The disciples from the law enforcement hall went to investigate. They found out it was Jiang Hao. Jiang Hao did confirm meeting the lantern-bearing person. What do you think? Hong Yuye asked with interest. It should be a coincidence, but there is some suspicion. The disciples from the law enforcement hall will likely ask, but regardless, capturing the lantern-carrying disciple was because of him. Among the people of the Great Thousand God sect, the lantern-carrying disciple is the most powerful, so that would be a grand achievement, Baiji said helplessly. Jiang Hao seems to deliberately make contributions and intentionally establish relationships with these people every time. It makes others suspicious. But it's just that. Someone behind him is likely controlling him. Baiji sneakily raised her head and glanced at the sect master. Sect master, How do you think it should be handled? Hong Yuye sipped her tea. That is up to you. Baiji nodded. Any discoveries on Jiang Hao's side? Hong Yuye asked as she put down her teacup. Chapter 9-10, Demoness. Why do you think he doesn't leave the sect? What about the discoveries on Jiang Hao's side? Baiji thought about it. Apart from advancing to the late stage of the Golden Core realm, there is currently nothing unusual. Although some aspects are outstanding, everything is within expectations. Besides, we also investigated the people accusing him, but unfortunately, they were all baseless. Jiang Hao seems highly suspicious, but he is actually very clean. The reason he has connections with various undercover agents might be intentional. He wants to stay on the list of the law enforcement hall, so he won't be easily sent out of the sect. Why do you think he doesn't want to go out of the sect? Hong Yuye looked at Baiji. There is a possibility that he wants to stay in the sect to accomplish certain tasks. He must have his own purpose. Even if he doesn't, the person behind him surely does. Every time, he manages to stay in the sect. It means someone behind him helps him, said Baiji. Do you think it's because he is afraid to go outside? Hong Yuye asked. It's unlikely. Baiji thought for a moment. Take the lantern-carrying disciple as an example. Since even the lantern-carrying disciple can be manipulated, it's evident that the person behind him is powerful. Considering the people Jiang Hao has offended, there are probably few who can pose a danger to him. So, they must have some purpose in mind. What do you think the purpose is? Hong Yuye asked. There is a high possibility that it is related to the heavenly fragrance Dao flower, Baiji said. Hong Yuye nodded and said, continue the investigation. Yes. Baiji pondered for a moment and added, Jiang Hao has a pet. It is quite extraordinary. Its origin might also be questionable. Do you want to investigate? Is it suspicious? Hong Yuye asked. A bit. Then investigate, Hong Yuye said calmly. Baiji nodded. In addition, it seems like Smiling San Sheng has appeared in the sect. Originally, there were some anomalies in Devil's Den, but after Smiling San Sheng entered, the anomalies disappeared. So far, his whereabouts are unknown. Perhaps he is still inside the sect. That is something you need to be concerned about. Hong Yuye sipped her tea. The Great Thousand God sect and the Heavenly Saint sect came for the Holy Master's divine soul, but so far, we don't know where the soul is. It has no use for us, so we haven't investigated it, Baiji said. Hong Yuye nodded. Baiji sighed with relief. They had a shortage of manpower for a thorough investigation. Fortunately, the sect master also didn't care about this. After that, she reported on other situations, including numerous discoveries in the mines. When the report was over, she mentioned the progress of the heavenly fragrance Dao flower. Since the flower's growth was great, Baiji received another transparent box. There was a pair of pants inside. The moment she received it, she knew who it was for. It was clear that the sect master also wanted to win over Jiang Hao. Jiang Hao was indeed outstanding, whether in cultivation progress, personal conduct, or his ability for interrogation in the lawless tower. Almost no faults could be found. Such a person being valued by someone powerful was only natural. The sect master's efforts to win him over were justified. She also didn't want him to leave. Judging by his behavior, he could guard the spirit herb garden pretty well. If he betrayed the sect, it would be quite troublesome. After Baiji left, Hong Yuye sat in the pavilion drinking tea. She was looking into the distance and was deep in thought. Around early February, Jiang Hao handed over his patrol mission report to the law enforcement hall. The patrol mission was over. He sighed wearily. Finally, it was completed, and there wouldn't be such tasks for the next few years. He could peacefully improve his cultivation. In a few more years, he would be able to advance to the late stage of the Immortal Ascension platform. With the help of high-quality spirit herbs, he might be able to do just that. After leaving the law enforcement hall, Jiang Hao looked at Zheng Shijiu and others. That's it. It's over. Zheng Shijiu thanked him. Junior brother Jiang, you've worked very hard. Thank you, senior brother Jiang, said Lin Mo, Lin Ji, and Zhao Qinxue gratefully. Without Jiang Hao, Zheng Shijiu would not have broken through to the middle stage of the Golden Core realm, let alone refine his cultivation. Lin Mo and others were even more grateful. Without Jiang Hao, they might have been dead. Lin Mo knew some people who didn't like Jiang Hao, but after meeting him, he was sure that those people were wrong about him. Regardless of whether senior brother Jiang cultivated the Bloodwish path or not, he is far from ordinary. His abilities, strength, and personality were beyond the reach of ordinary people. Jiang Hao returned the courtesy. Thank you all and farewell. Jiang Hao then left on his flying sword. Zheng Shijiu also departed. Back then, they had recruited Lin Ji and the others into the sect. This time, they had gone on a mission together. Perhaps this was the end of it. They might never meet again. They could only hope that they would do better and grow further. Zheng Shijiu learned a lot from Jiang Hao. He was indifferent to many things and would not get triggered so easily anymore. Having one less enemy was good survival. At the Cliff of Broken Hearts, Jiang Hao returned to find that the place was being rebuilt. The Cliff of Broken Hearts had taken most of the brunt of the battle and lost a lot. Jiang Hao sighed and returned to his courtyard. As soon as he stepped in, he frowned. Someone is here. Hong Yuye had given him the formation, and he had set it up. Only the spirit beast and Xiao Li were free to enter it. Others couldn't get in. Hong Yuye could enter too, since the formation was hers. There had been no other aura in the formation until Jiang Hao activated the formation and tried to condense the aura. Soon, a black shadow appeared in the courtyard. The shadow stood in front of the heavenly fragrance Dao flower. It didn't approach or touch it. It just looked at it like that. The shadow disappeared after a short time. That aura, Jiang Hao felt that the shadow was similar to the lantern-carrying disciple from before. He came here so openly. He knew he was being watched by Elder Beiji's people. He wondered if they saw the person observing the flower in his courtyard. So, he found me not to talk about things, but he knew I had the heavenly fragrance Dao flower. He was sure that the aura in his courtyard belonged to that person. Fortunately, he didn't make a move. He didn't even touch the heavenly fragrance Dao flower. If he had made a move, the commotion would have been huge. But making a move on the heavenly fragrance Dao flower, Hong Yuye would have intervened even before the person could reach the flower. Jiang Hao cleared the remnants of the aura. Right then, Liu Xingchen arrived. This time, he brought 2 people with him. Jiang Hao was puzzled. He didn't think he had done anything. Junior brother Jiang, you are indeed outstanding, Liu Xingchen said in admiration. I heard that the sect has been trying to find a powerful individual all this time, and you managed to find them. That's quite an achievement. Jiang Hao was speechless. Chapter 911, Repaying Favor with Backstabbing. Jiang Hao was confused. He didn't know what he had achieved this time. He had taken care not to do anything big during this mission. He had only performed the duties assigned to him and nothing else. How could he have achieved something big? Seeing Jiang Hao bewildered, Liu Xingchen smiled. Junior brother Jiang, did you meet a lantern-carrying person on your mission? Lantern-carrying person? Jiang Hao asked. Yes. Liu Xingchen nodded. Do you know that he was captured? Yes. Jiang Hao nodded. He had met him while patrolling. He said you led him to the trap that led to his capture. His capture is credited to you, said Liu Xingchen. Jiang Hao was at a loss for words. He was perplexed. The direction he had pointed at shouldn't have led him to a trap. How did the lantern-carrying disciple end up there? Were the traps both inside and outside the sect? He remembered the lantern-carrying disciple mentioning that he would leave him a gift. Was this the gift? Jiang Hao sighed. He had genuinely tried to guide the lantern-carrying disciple to the exit. Why would he stab him in the back in exchange? High merits were not necessarily a good thing. He could easily be taken off the suspect list because of this. Is it possible that he walked into the trap by himself and said it was because of me just to save some embarrassment? Jiang Hao asked. We haven't considered that possibility, Liu Xingchen said in surprise. Regardless, credit must be given where it's due. It is indeed strange for such a powerful individual to mention you. So, you need to come with us and answer some questions. If there are no issues, you will gain the merits. Otherwise, it might create some trouble for you. Jiang Hao was puzzled. What trouble would it all lead to? You'll either receive merits with suspicion, or your movements will be restricted. Of course, you'd be free to move about in the sect, said Liu Xingchen. Jiang Hao understood. It was better to accept the merits with some suspicion than to be subjected to a deeper investigation. Shall we go then? Liu Xingchen asked. Upon reaching the law enforcement hall, Jiang Hao faced two middle-aged men. One was in the late stage of the Soul Ascension realm, and the other was at the peak of the Soul Ascension realm. They were powerful cultivators. It was rare to see return to Void Realm cultivators for such a task. Besides, the sect didn't have manpower to spare. The presence of Soul Ascension realm cultivators was huge. Just some minor questions, junior brother, said the middle-aged man with a smile and sat down. It's about the lantern-carrying disciple. How many times have you met him? Jiang Hao didn't hide anything. He recounted everything truthfully. He mentioned the first time he had seen the lantern-carrying man and had reported it to a senior. The others had been asleep when he met the same person a second time. After questioning for a while, the two men drank some tea. All right. Junior brother, you can leave now. There are no issues for now, but we might call you again to ask more about the situation. We hope you won't leave the sect without reason. Of course, if the task hall guarantees your journey, you do not have to worry. Jiang Hao was speechless. He wondered if this person was sent by the task hall to speak for him. Can I leave now? Jiang Hao asked. Of course. Junior brother Jiang, we're sorry for the inconvenience of having to call you here multiple times. You're free to leave. However, you can always visit for some tea, said the middle-aged man and smiled. Jiang Hao was about to leave when a young man said, Wait, junior brother Jiang. Is there anything else? Jiang Hao turned around. He had already handed them the spirit stones from his last failure. There shouldn't be any problem. After exchanging a few polite words, Jiang Hao left. He didn't see Liu Xingchen this time. He probably was too busy. Sighing, Jiang Hao walked back. He had been fooled by the lantern-carrying disciple. On the bright side, he had someone who wanted him to plant high-quality spirit herbs. He was unsure what effect this would have on the suspect list. As his cultivation progressed, the list might no longer accommodate him. By the time he arrived at the spirit herb garden, it was already late in the afternoon. Everyone was busy, and he didn't want to disturb them. He decided to calm himself first and then contact Shangguan Qingsu. Along the way, he also needed to make a trip to the Lawless Tower to meet King Hai Luo and find out more about the Shangguan family. However, before he could rest, a message arrived. It instructed him to head to the Lawless Tower as soon as possible. In the southern region, Shu Bai moved through the air at an incredible speed. After nearly 2 years, he had finally approached the Black Heaven sect. This journey had not been easy. Along the way, he saw people fighting below. It was one person against a group, and he seemed to be losing. That person is somewhat strange, Shu Bai observed closely. The young man was clearly heavily injured, yet his strong will kept him fighting. He was good with a blade, and his technique was decent. After descending the mountain, all my actions have been driven by my own conscience. Regardless of right or wrong, you have no right to judge me. I am worthy of heaven and earth. Since you want to kill me, I will kill all of you in return. There was a roar and a burst of formidable power. The blade swept across. Even in death, he refused to go down without a fight. Boom. The power erupted. Eventually, everyone fell to the ground. Shu Bai was astonished. That person's talent is decent, he doesn't seem ordinary. His blade skills are just okay, but his state of mind is strong. He looks familiar. Chapter 9:12, Old Man Corpse C. Heading to the Heavenly Note sect. Shu Bai descended and looked at the young man lying in the pool of blood. He waved his hand, and the young man began to heal. His breath became steady. The blood vanished from his face. Chu Chuan. Shu Bai recognized him. He was connected to Chu Jie, after all. He had left quite an impression on him too. The young man's lips moved. Lord Beast. Lord Beast. Lord Beast. Shu Bai was confused. He isn't simple at all. Martial uncle was mistaken back then. Shu Bai waved his hands again, and spiritual energy entered Chu Chuan's body and healed him. I can't help him too much, just enough. Shu Bai smiled and looked around. He cleared some demonic beasts nearby and stepped back. He was heading to the Black Heavens sect on a mission. His mission wasn't easy, and it would take a lot of time. I might not even return this way. Shu Bai sighed and shook his head. He was out of the sect, so he wasn't in a hurry to return soon. He needed to prepare properly. Before he headed overseas, he was planning to stay in the south and examine certain matters. He also needed to wait for someone. That person should be arriving soon. He would be coming from the west. After Shu Bai left, Chu Chuan woke up. He looked around in disbelief. His injuries had miraculously healed. Lord Beast. Lord Beast must have helped me. Chu Chuan was confident that the spirit beast had helped him. Before he lost consciousness, he remembered shouting for Lord Beast. Lord Beast's friends on the path must have helped him. With Lord Beast around, I can definitely overcome any danger. Chu Chuan felt hopeful. After collecting everyone's storage treasures, he continued forward. He needed to find a safe place to recover from his injuries. Someday, he would reach the east. At the Heavenly Gate sect, some corpses stood around. An oldish man stood at the forefront. The Heavenly Gate sect is strong. It was Old Man Corpse C. When he arrived, he was quite polite. But the people of the Heavenly Gate sect hadn't taken him seriously. So, he opened the Corpse C and summoned some corpses. The battle erupted quickly and ended even faster. There was no apparent victory or defeat. It was just a misunderstanding. Since it was just a misunderstanding, Old Man of the Corpse C had no intention of dragging it out. In front of him was a middle-aged man. He was refined and polite. "Fellow disciple, where did you come from?" Zhong Jiyuan asked. He didn't expect someone strange to appear from the southern region suddenly. Moreover, this person was targeting their sect. The sect wasn't afraid, but they also didn't want unnecessary conflicts. They wanted to first find out who this person was. "The West," Old Man Corpse C said. "What brings you here?" Zhong Jiyuan asked again. "I just want to ask some questions. Please go on. Are there any special places in the southern region?" "Special in what way?" "If you, as a major sect, cannot understand it, then it might be special. Any such places like that?" "There are quite a few. Can you name the most bizarre, unique, and intriguing place you can think of?" "The Heavenly Note sect in the south." Old Man Corpse C looked at the man and smiled. "The Heavenly Note sect?" "Yes, the Heavenly Note sect." Zhong Jiyuan nodded. "I've never heard of it. What kind of sect is it?" Old Man Corpse C found it strange. He felt like the person before him was playing him. We hadn't heard of it before either. But 100 years ago, the sect suddenly emerged from nowhere and began to rise. Before that, it was an ordinary sect that went unnoticed. However, in just a few decades, they have risen to become one of the top sects. Is that what makes them special? Old Man Corpse C chuckled. What's so special about them? Rumors say there are traces of great fortune, appearances of divine objects, manifestations of ominous creatures, and a myriad of secrets hidden in their minds. Not only that, but they also have an extremely mysterious tower that defies common sense. In addition, they can enter the corpse realm and capture formidable enemies from various regions. Of course, there are also opportunities. A sage opened the path to immortality there. It was very rare and unheard of, a rarity in ancient and modern times, Zhong Jiyuan said. Yet, no one has brought them down? Old Man Corpse C asked. Before, no one knew about them. When they were discovered, they had already become a force to be reckoned with. It is dangerous to take action against them. Every sect has its own concerns. It's unlikely they will risk everything just to deal with an unknown sect, Zhong Jiyuan said. As a major sect, Don't you want to take the risk? Old Man Corpse C asked. Zhong Jiyuan did not respond. Old Man Corpse C understood. They must have tried but failed. After asking for the location of the Heavenly Note sect, he headed in that direction. Since it was special, he decided to see just how special this sect really was. Jiang Hao arrived at the Lawless Tower. It was already dark. Although the message didn't specify when they needed him to be there, he didn't want to delay. He had planned to visit the tower anyway. His punctuality would also leave a good impression on the seniors in the tower. He met senior sister Yinshaw as soon as he arrived. Junior brother Jiang, you came early, said Yinshaw. She hadn't expected him to visit so early. Disciples in the sect were usually very busy with tasks or cultivation matters. So, they didn't expect Jiang Hao to come immediately. A delay of a month or two was acceptable. I just happened to have some free time, Jiang Hao said politely. Let's talk while walking, Yinshaw said. Jiang Hao nodded and followed along. I wanted you to help inquire about the fallen immortal clan, but the plans have changed. We don't want to deal with the members of the fallen immortal clan right now, so we are keeping them in isolation. We're hoping that a cold shoulder treatment will soften them a little, said Yinshaw with a smile. This time, we called you mainly for the others we captured. It's quite important, especially since they are from the Great Thousand God sect. We need your help to make them speak. There will be others from the Heavenly Saint sect later, and they are quite stubborn. Jiang Hao wasn't surprised. It seemed that the sect was targeting the Great Thousand God sect and the Heavenly Saint sect. The losses of the mines were not small. The area was abandoned because the sect was short of manpower for defense. There are 3 individuals, and I have no choice but to trouble you. When they reached the 5th floor, Yinshaw didn't enter it with him. Instead, she handed him a book. These are their basic profiles. All members of the Great Thousand God sect are listed here. We don't know much about them, except that they were here for the divine soul of the Holy Master. In any case, I leave it to you, junior brother. Information about the divine soul of the Holy Master is also in the book. Jiang Hao took the book. Thank you. I'll do my best. Indeed, he was doing his best. Not everyone could uncover secrets like him. Moreover, with 3 individuals, he would need at least 3 days to find out all about them. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 913, Heavenly King Hai Luo. What grade is he? On the 5th floor of the Lawless Tower, Jiang Hao knew all the people inside. He was quite familiar with the place. Occasionally, there would be some new people he did not know. But most of these people had communicated in one way or another with him. However, some people had never talked with him. They usually left after a while. Not everyone needed his expertise. It wasn't like Lawless Tower was useless. The people of the Lawless Tower were very efficient. No one was as busy as them in the sect, except for the law enforcement hall. They were either arresting or interrogating people or on the way to do just that. When he entered, he heard someone talk. It was King Hai Luo. I am a heavenly king, so I can do whatever I want. What can you do to me? No one could control me overseas. It's the same here. Jiang Hao felt that King Hai Luo was very tough indeed until he met Miao Anxian. He seemed to soften up whenever he thought about her. If it concerned her, Hai Luo would compromise. How good is that woman? Jiang Hao couldn't understand. As a heavenly king, he was already half a step into the realm of immortals. Why was he swayed by love so much? In his realm, he might have reached a very firm state of mind. Why did he care about one person so much? Besides, Miao Anxian had betrayed him once before. I still don't understand. Perhaps I will never understand, Jiang Hao sighed. He did not understand, nor did he want to understand. When he walked in, he saw Heavenly King Mu Longyu standing in front of King Hai Luo's cell. He was trying to talk some sense into him. Nangong Yu in the 3rd cell had disappeared. She was replaced by Mi Ling Yu. The 4th cell had a white-haired woman. She looked quiet and destitute, as though there was no hope left in her life. The fifth cell had a middle-aged man who glared at everyone around. The sixth cell, Jiang Hao looked at him in surprise. It was the blindfolded man carrying a lantern. He sat in his cell and appeared oblivious to his surroundings. He might have been blindfolded before, but he seemed to be really blind. It was hard to sense anything inside the lawless tower. Jiang Hao sighed again. So far, the law enforcement hall had not responded to the matter of his achievements. He wondered if he would be taken off the suspect list. Nangong Yu was missing. He often saw the same 4 people whenever he visited the 5th floor. He was surprised by her absence. After greeting Heavenly King Mu Longyu politely, he asked about Nangong Yu. She traded some secret with the people of the lawless tower to get out, said Mi Ling Yu. A secret? Jiang Hao was surprised. The Saint bandits were becoming more active lately. It was natural for her to want to get out. As for the secret that she had traded, Jiang Hao was unsure of it. He wasn't worried about her leaving. But he hoped they wouldn't be enemies if they met in the future. Zhuang Yuzhen, Heavenly King Hai Luo, Nangong Yu, and Mi Ling Yu didn't feel any hostility toward him. There was no hatred or resentment in their eyes. Then, he turned his gaze to the other 3. All 3 of them were from the Great Thousand God sect. He looked at the books. The first one was called Bing Qing from the Ice Spirit clan. She was cold-blooded. The second one was called Man Ji Yu. He was one of the top 3,000 members of the Great Thousand God sect. He was arrogant and fearless. The third lantern-carrying man was the most mysterious of them all. He might not be the strongest, but he was the most difficult to deal with. Ordinary interrogation was useless to him. He didn't care about his cultivation or his life. Jiang Hao flipped through the pages and then closed the book. Fellow disciple, are you here for them? Mu Longyu walked to Jiang Hao's side. Jiang Hao nodded. I'm sorry if I have interrupted anything, he said apologetically. If he hadn't come in, Mu Longyu would still be talking with Hai Luo. After he appeared, Hai Luo simply shut up. Jiang Hao's arrival made Zhuang Yuzhen and the others look forward to what he would do with the 3 new people. Junior brother Jiang. The lantern-carrying disciple got up. The others looked over in surprise. He hadn't said a word since he arrived until he saw Jiang Hao. Moreover, he greeted Jiang Hao first. Mi Ling Yu and the others looked at Jiang Hao. They didn't know what was going on. After all, the lantern-carrying disciple's strength was not very high, but his appearance attracted the attention of people overseas. This was especially true for people from the Great Thousand God sect. Many people wanted to know what had happened to the lantern bearer. We meet again, senior, Jiang Hao said politely. If the lantern bearer was willing to call him a junior, he had no trouble addressing him as a senior. The people from the lawless tower wouldn't care, and the sect didn't care either. The lantern bearer knowing Jiang Hao's name wasn't a great mystery either. The law enforcement hall might have mentioned it when they questioned him. This place isn't ordinary. It's a little unexpected you could enter this place, junior brother. It's too dark, so I couldn't see you properly. I hope you don't mind. Senior, you must be joking. It's my fault. I should have greeted you immediately, said Jiang Hao. Junior brother, are you here to interrogate me? I have been assigned with that task, he said. You? A cultivator at the Golden Core realm? Man Jiyu laughed. You're nothing. Even lapdogs are more valuable than you. Just kill us, useless Golden Core. How dare your sect imprison us like this? Man Jiyu turned to look at Mi Ling Yu. And you? So, you were hiding here. I wondered why Heavenly King Mu Longyu was here. So, you two have planned this together. Mu Longyu turned to look at Man Jiyu. Man Jiyu glared back. What's wrong? Want to silence me? Have the Heavenly Note sect do your dirty work like a coward, then, Heavenly King Hai Luo, he dares to be more arrogant than you, said Mi Ling Yu. Bah! What realm is he? Can he even compare to me? King Hai Luo turned to Man Jiyu. You're just a middle-stage primordial spirit realm cultivator. That's right. Heavenly King Hai Luo is at the peak of the primordial spirit realm. He is the king of the 5th floor, said Mi Lingyu. You're just playing his pawn, said Zhuang Yuzhen. You both are trash. Hai Luo laughed. Mu Longyu was puzzled. Mi Lingyu smiled. Don't worry, just watch. I have never seen anyone as arrogant as Hai Luo on the 5th floor. No one is better than King Hai Luo. Mu Longyu didn't really understand what they were trying to do. He knew that Jiang Cao's status on the 5th floor was very high. It was even higher than the others in the Lawless Tower. The people here, whether guards or captives, respected Jiang Cao the most. No one dared to act recklessly against him. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 9:14. Unparalleled appearance. Jiang Cao felt that he often met people who looked down on him on this floor. When he was in the Foundation establishment realm, Zhuang Yuzhen and Hai Luo had looked down on him. Mi Lingyu wasn't that arrogant, so she talked with him decently. Later, when he reached the Golden Core realm, Zhuang Yuzhen and the others began to respect him. However, the new people who came here still looked down on him. He didn't care. After all, a Golden Core realm cultivator was nothing in front of them. Even if their cultivation realm fell, they were still in the primordial spirit realm. What was the Golden Core realm in front of the primordial spirit realm? They all had their pride. It was only natural that they felt dissatisfied with being interrogated by a Golden Core realm cultivator. Man Jiyu looked at Jiang Cao. How do you plan to interrogate me? Torture. What else can you do? Are you going to deliberately let us out just to hunt us down? Don't worry. I'll kill myself the moment I get out of here. Jiang Cao sighed with emotion. This person was completely fearless. This kind of person was the most troublesome to deal with. Senior, are you here for the divine soul of the Holy Master? Jiang Cao asked. Do you really think I'll answer you? Man Jiyu glared at Jiang Cao. Jiang Cao sighed. Then, he activated his daily appraisal ability. Man Jiyu, originally known as Disciple Fengqing. He was a disciple of the Divine Rotation sect in the West. He betrayed his sect and fled. From then on, he called himself Man Jiyu and worked wholeheartedly for Feng Hua. However, Feng Hua was ruthless. She found out that he had a wife and children in the Divine Rotation sect and used that to blackmail him. However, he still had a line of defense to protect his wife and children. Only by obtaining the 9 rain tea leaves of the Divine Rotation sect would he truly understand that his wife and children had been discovered. Right now, he doesn't want to betray Feng Hua, and he wants to die. He feels that with his death, everything will be resolved. Furthermore, he has already discovered some secrets of the Great Thousand God sect, so he is already doomed. If those people can't find him, they'll turn their attention to his wife and children. Jiang Cao frowned. Divine Rotation sect. Isn't Guan Zhongfei from there? Is the 9 rain tea leaves very difficult to obtain? He was quite surprised that this person was working for Feng Hua. He had to get more information from him. He didn't want to rush. So, he let it be for now. I won't disturb you anymore, senior, said Jiang Cao. He walked to Bing Qing. She looked at Jiang Cao with eyes filled with despair. Jiang Cao didn't say anything. He walked up to the lantern bearer. What do you want to ask me, junior brother Jiang? Senior, are you here for the Holy Master's divine soul? Jiang Cao asked. That's right. Everyone is here for the Holy Master's divine soul. However, I'm not too sure what use the divine soul has. Of course, we all have our own goals. Many people in the Great Thousand God sect are actually very reserved. He looked around. They all have a certain power. Do you also have that, senior? Jiang Cao was curious. I do too. Jiang Cao didn't ask any more questions. The Lawless Tower didn't tell him to ask about Feng Hua anyway. This person didn't know where the divine soul was. It would be rude to keep pressing him. Jiang Cao decided to wait and see how the Lawless Tower wanted him to proceed. After that, he turned to leave. You're leaving just like that? Man Jiyu sneered and looked at Mi Lingyu and the others. Who was the one who said this was going to be good? Mi Lingyu rolled her eyes. Just you wait. You'll eat your words soon. At least I can still laugh about it for a few days. What about you? Man Jiyu sneered. What do you think will happen once your secret is exposed? You don't have to worry about that, said Mu Longyu coldly. That's true. You're the heavenly king, and you're not afraid of the great thousand god sect. But what about your wife? Man Jiyu sat back down. I want to go out, Bing Qing said softly. However, no one could help her get out. After leaving the lawless tower, Jiang Hao returned to his house. If he wanted to make Man Jiyu speak, he would have to find out more about the 9 rain tea leaves. The tea leaves were in the west. If he wanted to get it, he would have to go there himself or ask Zhong for help. I need to wait for the gathering to meet Zhong. I don't know how long I'll have to wait. They met once every 3 months. But sometimes, they went without a gathering for over half a year. In short, it was unpredictable. It was hard to say how long it would take for the next gathering to happen. I can't wait that long. Jiang Hao shook his head and sighed. After that, he went in to take a rest. He still needed to raise his cultivation as soon as possible. Early the next morning, it was a little chilly. February wasn't very cold, but it began to turn a bit chilly. After watering the heavenly fragrance Dao flower, he planned to head to the spirit herb garden. However, a small head peered in from the courtyard. Senior brother Jiang? Come in, Jiang Hao said. It was Xiao Li. She hopped into the courtyard and gave him a peach. Jiang Hao frowned. The season for peaches had passed. How were the peaches still on the tree? It was from before. I gave it to senior sister, but she told me to save one for you, said Xiao Li. Jiang Hao frowned. He knew who Xiao Li was talking about. He took a bite and frowned. It tasted bad. Had it gone bad? Is it sweet? Xiao Li looked at him. Why do you think it's sweet? Jiang Hao asked. If it's not sweet, senior sister wouldn't have told me to save it for you, said Xiao Li sheepishly. Jiang Hao finished eating the peach. He wanted to give it back to Xiao Li, but he didn't want her to wonder why the peach tasted bad. Oh right. Senior sister also said that this isn't very bright anymore. Xiao Li handed the dragon pearl to Jiang Hao. Senior sister told me to give it to you so you can think of a way. Jiang Hao took the dragon pearl. It didn't have much power left. But what could he do? He could only try to find out more about the dragon clan's power and then replenish the dragon pearl. After that, he took the spirit beast along to the spiritual herb garden. In the afternoon, a light soared into the sky. The mountains and rivers shook, and spiritual energy gathered. The sudden change shocked many people. Jiang Hao also turned to look. The moment he sensed the sword's intent, he smiled. Junior brother Han is truly impressive. With such sword intent and power, he might be able to enter the late stage of the Golden Core realm very soon. If he was correct, the sword's intent came from Han Ming. Jiang Hao remembered that Han Ming owed him 1,000 spirit stones. It seemed like he was going to return it soon. He did not know if he should go and visit him or wait for Han Ming to come and challenge him. At that moment, the seniors quickly headed in the direction of the light to figure out what was happening. The next day, Han Ming became famous in the Heavenly Note sect. He was unparalleled in fame and power. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 9:15. Key figure for rapid cultivation. Han Ming experienced a significant increase in strength, and his sword's intent pierced through mountains and rivers. He was a type of genius that the Cliff of Broken Hearts had not encountered for many years. Everyone was surprised. In the Cliff of Broken Hearts branch, Han Ming's cultivation realm was not at the top, but his talent far surpassed many. He was invincible among his peers of the same level. His sword's intent had become stronger. He was a promising sword cultivator. However, Ku Wu Chang felt somewhat helpless because he didn't have much knowledge about swords and couldn't provide the best guidance to Han Ming. On the second day of Han Ming's fame, Jiang Hao received news that the master had gone out, and senior brother Bai Yi would be managing the branch temporarily. Senior brother by Yi again. Jiang Hao recalled the evaluations of the senior brother by the law enforcement hall and couldn't help but feel a bit helpless. Perhaps before long, senior brother Bai Yi would be taken to the law enforcement hall again. But no one knew what the cliff master was up to. It might be related to junior brother Han. 2 more days passed. Most disciples of the Cliff of Broken Hearts were talking about Han Ming. Even Xiao Li had heard about it. Occasionally, she would ask if senior brother Han had become powerful and if she should send him gifts. Jiang Hao shook his head. Xiao Li knew Han Ming. They were both true disciples. One day, while Jiang Hao was tending to the spirit herb garden, junior brother Han suddenly appeared. Jiang Hao was curious whether he had come to challenge or repay a debt. If it was a challenge, it would be a bit troublesome. It might be problematic to defeat him when he was this famous. If the news spread that someone had defeated him, the attention would turn to him. So, if junior brother Han wanted to challenge him today, Jiang Hao would be in a dilemma. As junior brother Han approached, he looked a little smug as if the promising future made him more confident. Junior brother Han, you are truly extraordinary. I heard that you are destined to become a top disciple in the future. You have so much potential, said Jiang Hao with a smile. Senior brother Jiang, you have been staying in the spirit herb garden without much practice. In the future, I will catch up to you. Even if you occasionally go out, it won't be enough. The gap between us will become smaller, and in the end, you will be defeated, Han Ming said seriously. It's inevitable for you to surpass me someday. Whether I go out or not won't change that fact, Jiang Hao said softly. Han Ming didn't say much and took out the spirit stones. These are 2,000 spirit stones, with an extra 1,000 as interest. Jiang Hao accepted them. Thank you, junior brother Han. Han Ming nodded and turned to leave. Senior brother Han. Xiao Li ran over to him. I heard you've become powerful. Yeah. Han Ming nodded. Congratulations, senior brother Han. Did you bring me a gift? Xiao Li asked. Han Ming stared at Xiao Li. He took out a spirit fruit from his storage treasure. Here. Thank you, senior brother Han, Xiao Li said excitedly. Cultivate well, said Han Ming and left. Xiao Li thanked him. Jiang Hao smiled. It seemed that Han Ming was not that rich, but he knew how Xiao Li was. Otherwise, he wouldn't have brought her a gift. After that, Jiang Hao continued his work. Fortunately, junior brother Han did not challenge him. He was relieved. Otherwise, he would have to find a way to prolong the match to make it seem evenly matched. The next they fought would be when junior brother Han reached the late stage of the Golden Core Realm. That time, he would pretend to reach the peak of the Golden Core Realm. I just saw the surging aura of junior brother Han. It shouldn't be long before he reaches the late stage. But if I directly reach the peak, wouldn't that be strange? He always went out before advancing. But if Han Ming challenged him, he would have to pretend to advance without going out. He might appear suspicious. I can only rely on the illusion of the blood wish path. Perhaps he could frequently explain the cultivation process to Cheng Chou and appear as knowledgeable and famous as senior brother Chen Chen. That way, people would think it was the effect brought by blood wish path. Jiang Hao continued to tend to the spirit herb garden. The sect became lively again. He didn't mind. As long as he maintained his peace, everything would be okay. Around mid-February, Jiang Hao welcomed a senior sister from the Candlelight Pill Pavilion. She was at the peak of the primordial spirit realm and had short hair. Can you really cultivate high-quality spirit herbs, junior brother? She asked. Please don't misunderstand. I'm not questioning your ability. I'm just curious. I don't pay much attention to sect matters, so I'm not aware of your capabilities. I am okay at it, Jiang Hao said modestly. The senior had a gentle voice. Just okay at it. She nodded. That's fine. By the way, I'm Duanmu Yang. Is your name Jiang Hao, junior brother? Yes, Jiang Hao said politely. I have many high-quality spirit herb seeds, but they are important to me. Because it's our first collaboration, I hope you understand that I'm a bit doubtful. I'll start by giving you 200 seeds in the beginning. I hope you don't mind, Duanmu Yang said. Jiang Hao was surprised. This senior was quite straightforward. Was such a person safe in a demonic sect? She was already at the peak of the primordial spirit realm, just a few paces away from the return to Void Realm. I need to examine the seeds first, Jiang Hao said. There are some seeds that I'm not good at raising. Duanmu Yang agreed. After the appraisal, Jiang Hao breathed a sigh of relief. The seeds normally took 9 months to germinate. He could make them sprout in as little as 4 months, but it required a significant amount of concealment. He planned to take half a year to let the seeds germinate. With no tasks at hand, he didn't have to worry too much. Duanmu Yang followed the normal procedure and handed the seeds to him. She also provided enough spirit stones for cultivation. She gave Jiang Hao an additional 50 spirit stones. It was quite a lot. In the late stage of the Golden Core realm, he could only receive a bit over 100 spirit stones from the sect. Unfortunately, he needed tens of thousands of spirit stones to accelerate his progress. After seeing off senior sister Duanmu, Jiang Hao started planting spirit herbs. This was the first batch. Once this was successful, the next bath would be easy. Whether he could progress in his cultivation would depend on his success and the senior giving him more herbs. In the southern region, in the Hidden Cloud Prefecture, Baizhu appeared on the mountain peak and took a deep breath. Finally, back here. I didn't expect to be this lucky. I can still find teleportation arrays. Qiao Yi's strength had improved a lot recently, and she couldn't help but sigh as she looked at the mountains and rivers around her. The difference between the southern and western regions didn't seem very vast. In the past few years, they had traveled from the southern to the western regions and then back from the west. They had gone through many things. It felt like a dream. Is life so exciting outside, princess? Qiao Yi asked. No. Baizhu shook her head. Only these few years have been somewhat exciting. There have been so many events. I feel like I have been constantly trying to push things ahead and trying to make things happen. I feel like the person we are looking for is near the Heavenly Note sect. So, you didn't really want to come here, princess? Qiao Yi asked. Baizhu nodded. Anyway, it's better not to come here if possible. But we have to visit for the sake of your cultivation. Qiao Yi was puzzled. She already had a cultivation technique. At that moment, Baizhu suddenly paused. Let's rest here for tonight, and we'll set off tomorrow. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories,